testosterone, like Andrew Huberman says, it makes effort feel good. So obviously, you don't have to be Sherlock Holmes to figure out why that's important for men, or else something would get done. So I think women actually have a better sense of that, because women can get stuff done and feel good about it with like low testosterone, or even girls that are on birth control, which basically is like female castration, and they could still get stuff done, which I think women have a bit more. They have different hormones that push out output and motivation, whereas in men, if their testosterone is in the gutter, it's very, very bad for their psyche. Just sense of well-being, motivation, drive. It's terrible. Guys that are doing testosterone in their high school days, early college days, early 20s, it's not necessarily that you ruin yourself forever, right? You could theoretically take HCG, which is basically an injection that stimulates it's like luteinizing hormone. So it tells, basically, in very simple terms, the signal to your brain, to your testicles, to keep going. So when you take exogenous testosterone, so outside source being exogenous, and you inject it, your testicles, which is what produces testosterone, says, "Oh, we're good," and they atrophy. They literally become like little tiny peanuts. And because you're injecting it, so they don't have a purpose, right? And the body has this thing about hormesis, and hormesis is where the body doesn't want to be too excited, but it doesn't want to be too down, so it wants to be balanced, right? That's why if anyone's ever taken Molly or taking a lot of Adderall, the next day you feel like dog shit, because your body's down regulating the good feeling, and vice versa. If you're really depressed, your body will upregulate to be in the center, which is called hormesis. That's what your body wants to just stay alive. It doesn't care if you're happy, just stay alive. What happens is, when you take an exogenous amount of testosterone, your natural system goes, okay, we're good. We don't want to keep producing more. Now you can take TRT with HCG, and you can keep your testicles from atrophying, and they'll decrease maybe half the size. So that will help you if you are on testosterone or steroids and you want to get your wife or girlfriend pregnant, if you're having like fertility issues. But yeah, it's not good by any chance if you don't have low test. Now, however, I've seen guys in high school that, and this, it could be due to a brain injury, because people that are concussed, fighters, football players, they'll have extremely low T, and they're trying to correlate it with concussions. Also, if you get literally like kicked in the nuts a bunch of times, you can mess something up. So I've heard stories of kids that are 18, 20, 21 that their test levels are like 200 and they're young. So they'll get on TRT because they're still in the development stage. And I do think it's very important for those kids to jump on that. That's why, we can get into this, being proactive with your health and getting your blood work done every three months. I just got my blood work done 2 weeks ago. I get my blood work done every 3 months. I do a full panel, mineral test, everything, vitamins, everything, a red blood cell count, white, everything. And I do think it's very important that people stay on top of that. But yes, just as simple as possible, you don't want to just aimlessly inject yourself with testosterone. You want to go to an actual physician and get your levels tested. And there might be an issue just genetically. Chances are no. And you should stay away from that as long as possible.
Yeah, I think so too. And then what was interesting enough too is I was reading that testosterone levels have been dropping like 50%, and
Mm.
each year they just that number just gets kind of compounds and compounds and compounds, and a lot of it's due to like the phthalates and plastics, and you're like,
Yes.
holy shit, is
Yeah.
that reversible?
Microplastics.
Right. Like, how long does that take to come out of your system? Because a lot of the damage is done in utero, because like the mom might not have known, or she was carrying it from when she was and when she was in utero. Like, all of these things kind of are cross generational. So it's, how long does it take to detox from your individual body?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a difficult question, right? Because you would have to have like a double-blind placebo test, and you'd have a group of individuals that don't drink out of plastic, don't microwave their food. No one's paying that much attention unless you're doing a controlled study. So I don't even know if they have those studies even available, like on PubMed or any type of backed publication site that is like credible, right? PubMed is, there's a holy grail. If you want to look something up, go to PubMed. They have studies from the 20s up there. So yeah, it's called phthalates, yeah, like you said, microplastics. And what's crazy is they dropped the test range, right? So like when you get your blood work done with anything, it could be your kidney function, it could be your red blood cell count, whatever. They give you a range of what's considered normal, right? Your blood pressure, whatever. And the low to high end. So anything under 400 and anything up to 900 is considered like good, depending on your age. Well, my father and my grandparents' generation was 200 points higher. They literally dropped the scale from my father's age. They dropped the scale from 1,000 to 900 now.
Whoa.
Yeah. And like you've heard with the professor that talked about phthalates out of Harvard, that the anus, so the men's anus is actually shrinking. So from your testicles to literally your asshole is like shrinking distance, which you're like, okay, well, who cares? Well, yeah, it doesn't necessarily matter about the distance, but it's the matter of the test levels dropping, and that's due to development issues. So it's very serious stuff. Like you don't as it's more serious when you're growing up. It's more serious when you're in utero. I think if anyone's pregnant or wants to become pregnant and they want to serve their child the best, look up Dr. Rhonda Patrick, and she talks about everything that she did with her kids. And it's very important about what you eat. It's also very important about what the male sperm is. If you're a guy smoking cigarettes, drinking beer, don't think that sperm is sperm. Like your sperm is there's a different level of quality depending on what you're drinking, what you're eating. You know, are you eating tons of sugar? Are you insulin insensitive? Like these are all different things. And, you know, subconsciously, that's why women like guys that are in shape, right? Women like guys that are in shape on the surface because they're hot. Oh, these guys are shredded and all this stuff. But why don't we like fat guys? Well, because that's not a good, that's not someone that's good for offspring, you know? And that's because the healthier the man is, the healthier the sperm is, and then vice versa with the women, right?
And he's also not gonna be able to protect you against a saber-toothed tiger or probably
Exactly.
build you a home,
Exactly.
all of those things that you would have needed back in the day.
Exactly. Like, why do we like tall? Well, I don't like guys, but why do girls like tall guys, right? Like, it doesn't matter. We have ladders. Why is that? It's because those guys theoretically in past history were able to protect us because they're bigger. They take up more space. So we're fighting, you know, genetics and evolution, and what we think is attractive is attractive, but it's attractive because of science.